The last part of chapter 1 takes us from page 29 all the way to the end. And one topic here is bilingualism. And of course, we're all trying to become bilingual and learn more languages. If you're bilingual from childhood, then then you have, in a way, I like to say, almost like two first languages and two first cultures as well. A lot of times, like, it's your home language and your home sort of culture and environment, and then you've got, like, in school or in the community, maybe another language and culture and environment. And actually, according to these statistics, the majority of children around the world are exposed to at least two languages. Of course, in America, we're kind of known for everyone just kind of knows one language, generally feel the need, but obviously because English is this sort of, lingua franca, sort of international type language, then, English is our first language, we're kind of fortunate in that way, but most kids are exposed to two languages. I wouldn't really say bilingual, but definitely exposed. And obviously, second language opens doors for your education, social life, travel, there's so many positive things. I mean, obviously, being bilingual opens your mind to sort of thinking a whole different way, like expressing yourself in a different way. Like, I learned Spanish when I was a student, and I really enjoyed using Spanish because Spanish is actually kind of more expressive language, and so it was, English is kind of in the middle, kind of mellow language. So it was fun for me to express myself differently in Spanish, for example. And so, but again, different languages, you'll learn words that your language doesn't have words for that, and concepts. So it's pretty exciting, to learn, and really good, obviously, for your education. I mean, I think we all agree that every kid, every student in their life should learn a foreign language as part of their curriculum, which generally is part of the curriculum of schools. And don't forget dialects too. A lot of people speak a dialect of a language, and then they kind of have to learn the standard form in addition to their dialect, just so they can like go to the capital or work in the capital and things like that. And so if you're bilingual from childhood, we call that simultaneous bilingual, or another book calls it coordinate bilingual. And then if you've added a second language late kind of to your first language, that's called sequential, or in other textbooks called compound bilingual, like meaning adding something to the other. And one of the myths is that a lot of children, when they go to school, sometimes the teachers or parents feel like, they should just focus on one language. Like, they should just focus on English or something, because it's confusing them. And, sometimes bilingual children are a little bit behind other children, maybe. Like, there's some confusion, maybe, early on, but sort of the long-term benefits are much greater. So no one's really supporting just focusing on one language anymore. And it's always better to keep both languages going. Not to mention, later, so a kid can continue to communicate with his parents or, of course, grandparents, and kind of keep that social connection going. But, apart from that, just for, cognitive development, code switching is a popular term for when two bilinguals are talking, they can code switch. So it's kind of fun when two people are bilingual and they can switch back and forth. And sometimes, for example, like they need a word from the other language, or some people think it's for solidarity, like solidarity meaning identity, so that you can only code switch with people who are like, from your same ethnic background. So it's kind of cool that you can share that. But in some ways it just shows that sometimes you just feel like going into that other language to express a certain type of emotion or an idea, and obviously food. Another point here, well, if If you actually lose your first language, then that's called subtractive bilingualism, which, yeah, we definitely don't want that. I know sometimes, when students come here, they feel like, oh, I'm forgetting my first language, or I'm starting to make mistakes on my first language, or they go back home and they have some sort of accent or something, and I've heard a lot of stories like that. The final point is the distinction between sort of common everyday English and then the university English, like textbooks, lectures, kind of academic English. So the common everyday English was termed by Jim Cummins as BICS, Basic Interpersonal Communication Skills. Shopping, going to the doctor, meeting people. It's kind of what most people want. And then university prep, academic, is called CALP, which is Cognitive Academic Language Proficiency. And that's the language that someone would need, if they want to go to like American University, which is pretty common, need that people have. So that's the end of chapter 1. I know it's a lot of information, so just read through it and read through the book, listen to my presentations, and then answer the questions. See you in chapter 2.